There are so many witnesses, so many reports, and so many coincidences that even today, it's difficult to know what truly happened. It all began on December 29th, 1972. That night, a plane departed from New York bound for Miami. It was Eastern Airlines Flight 401. The aircraft was practically brand new, one of the most advanced models of its time. It had an unusual feature: 2 levels. Passengers traveled on the upper deck. And below, there was a small galley and a crew rest area, accessible only by 2 elevators located at the rear of the aircraft. The captain was Bob Loft, a man with over 30,000 flight hours. Beside him sat First Officer Albert Stockstill, and behind them, Flight Engineer Don Repo. 3 experienced men, a routine flight, nothing out of the ordinary. The first 2 hours passed quietly, but at 11:40 p.m., as the aircraft prepared to land in Miami, something strange happened. The captain activated the landing gear. Inside the cockpit were 3 indicator lights, confirming whether the wheels were properly deployed. 2 lights illuminated. The 3rd did not. It was the nose gear. Assuming it might be an error, the captain retracted the gear and tried again. The light remained off. The crew contacted air traffic control and decided to divert to a nearby area, the Florida Everglades. There, they could circle while troubleshooting the issue. The captain engaged the autopilot, and the investigation began. Flight engineer Don Repo descended through a hatch in the cockpit floor to physically inspect the landing gear. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew focused on the instrument panel, trying to understand the malfunction. What no one noticed was this. At some point, the autopilot disengaged. No one knows exactly how. Possibly a slight movement of the control wheel, but the aircraft began to descend slowly. The angle was subtle. There were no visual references, and the surroundings were completely dark. No one realized. Until it was too late. The aircraft crashed into the Everglades. The impact was devastating. Thanks to the water, it wasn't an immediate explosion, but the damage was brutal. Rescue teams and civilians arrived by boat to help survivors. In the end, 75 people survived, but over 100 lost their lives, including Captain Bob Loft and flight engineer Don Repo. And the most tragic part came from the investigation. The landing gear had functioned perfectly. The indicator light failed simply because the bulb had burned out. A tiny detail, a massive tragedy. But the story didn't end there. 3 years after the crash, strange reports began emerging among airline employees. It was discovered that many parts recovered from the wreckage had been reused in other aircraft within the fleet. And soon after, the phenomena began. Flight attendants reported uneasy feelings in the lower galley, the sensation of not being alone. Footsteps, whispers. On one occasion, 2 flight attendants entered the galley separately, and both experienced the exact same thing: the presence of someone invisible standing beside them. Yet they never saw each other. Only the feeling. Weeks later, something even more disturbing occurred. During a flight, a uniformed captain appeared seated in first class. He didn't answer questions. He didn't speak. He simply stared forward. When the pilot went to check who he was, he froze. He recognized the face. It was Bob Loft, the captain of Flight 401. And seconds later, the man vanished before everyone's eyes. Reports continued. Employees claimed to see Don Repo walking through the aircraft aisles. Others said the engineer appeared in the lower galley, inspecting equipment. In some cases, he even warned of technical issues that were later confirmed. What was most unsettling was that these encounters didn't feel hostile. Many witnesses felt the apparitions were trying to help, as if the crew of Flight 401 were still on duty. The airline attempted to suppress everything. Reports disappeared, testimonies were denied, and employees were warned not to speak about it. But the phenomenon was too frequent. Even passengers began to witness it. Shadows, figures seated in silence, people vanishing before their eyes. Fear spread throughout the airline. And then, it all stopped. In 1974, the company ordered every part recovered from Flight 401 to be removed from service. After that, the reports ceased. There was never an official explanation. Nothing was confirmed. But to this day, many employees from that era share the same belief, that the crew of Flight 401 never truly left the aircraft.